Grab your poker faces, Wargamers, because today we're getting ready to fight the first battle in our mini epic campaign using William Sylvester's field guide for Wargaming without an opponent. This is the fourth video in the series, and we've set up our two nations, our belligerents. The Dextramanians are upset that the Princess of Sinistrea has eloped with the son who was betrothed to her, and now good King, what's his face? King Wesley Dusk the Seventh is mad that he can't use that marriage to take over Sinistrea, and if he can't do it through matrimony, he's going to do it at the point of a bayonet. So he's launched a massive invasion force, and he's got an army that is marching on Leftopolis to extract due payment for the missing dowry, I guess you could say. Whatever the reason, what we're looking at here is setting up a battle in which you've got a large army marching from the east, fighting a smaller army from the west. In particular, what we have are, let me put these the way they're coming on the board, and we're going to use this to set up the battle. I guess the first thing we should do is figure out what the terrain is going to look like, and William has a slick little system here for doing just that. If I can find the right page. Here we... Oh. Here we go. We're going to use playing cards, and we're going to lay them out like this. Now, our battle is going to be 2 by 2 feet, so each one of these cards is going to represent approximately a quarter or 6 inches of the battlefield. Red cards are nothing, and black cards, you use this handy-dandy little chart. So let's go ahead and deal those out. But first, just so, you can see they're randomized. I shuffled them, and then just to kind of play it straight and play it honest. I like having you guys looking over my shoulder as I do this, so that you can call me out if I'm doing anything wrong. That's a pretty good shuffle, pretty good cuts. We'll cut one more time, and then we're just going to deal them out. Remember, red cards are nothing, and black cards are terrain features. So we'll kind of slide these up as far as we can. So we have a terrain feature there, straight across, and of course the one feature that doesn't depend on the cards is the road. The armies are meeting along the road somewhere, and there you have it. This corner down here is a 9. So we've got very little up here and a lot more down here. Let's take a look at what these numbers mean. Up in the upper right-hand corner, that jack is going to be a farm. So we'll go ahead and just write farm right up there. And then we had a whole row of nothing, and now we're on to the bottom half. And down here, the 8 is going to be light wood. The 2 is going to be a hill over here. And then we've got 3, 3, and a 9. So the 3, 3, this is hill, hill. So we're going to call this one big hill. And we have a very interesting... And then number 9, we've got another little light woods down here. So we can shove those out of the way, and now you can see we have a lovely little terrain. It's better than anything I could have come up with on my own, randomized. So I'm seeing a couple of hills. It looks like we're going to have contour lines that look something like this, with a little choke point for these woods here. We got another small little wood on this side, and we've got a farm up here. So I think what we can do is we can go ahead and just draw that road straight across, the little crossroad that leads out to the farm. I've got figures for all of this stuff. And the only other question is, do we have any crossroads? Are there any other roads on here? It looks like I spoke too soon. Whenever you have a road cutting across, Sylvester recommends that you roll a d6. We're going to go from 1 to 6 and from 1 to 6. This will be the enter and the exit of the road. So on that side we got a 1 and we got a 5 over here. So that road is going to come in from the top, and it's going to come down over here. You know, I think... Does it go over the hill, or does it punch through the little gap there? I think what we'll do is have that road come through the gap. And then to find out if we have a stream, we're going to roll a 50-50 chance. On a 1, 2, or 3, there is a water feature. So on a 3, there's a water feature, and we'll go ahead and roll likewise. Now, in this case, I think what I'll do is I'm going to roll a clock face for the entrance at the 5 and the exit at the 3. So that stream comes on at 5 o'clock and exits at 3. So it looks like what we have here is a stream that has cut a notch through these hills. We'll put a road out here to, I'm calling this Silcock Farm. In fact, we're going to call this the Battle of Silcock Farm. Little shout out to one of my fans out there, one of my better commentators. What am I talking about? All my commenters are great. So now we have a tactical map. I got to figure out how I'm going to create this on the tabletop. I've got the terrain for it, obviously, but I don't know that I have the woods and the stream that are set up just like this. But it's a good little setup. So, and what I'm seeing here is actually very interesting because remember, we've got a large army that's fighting its way up to here, and we've got a smaller army that's trying to prevent them. So the question becomes, how do we translate that strategic movement onto this map here? Here's what I'm going to do. I like this terrain. It meshes well with the strategic movement. What I'm going to do to decide so the real question is, which side is which? Remember that as you're maneuvering armies on a battlefield, they don't just hit head on. There's a lot of sparring and feinting, to get yourself into really solid position. And who's going to get to choose the terrain is very important. So we need to understand who chose this battlefield. I've got 2 commanders. The commander on the left is... so what I mean by that is the actual direction that you're coming from can vary wildly along any one of these 3 fronts. And I'm going to let one of the generals pick which of the 3 sides he wants to start from. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to roll d6 for each commander. I'm going to add his CCR, his competency rating, and whoever gets the higher score gets to pick which side he sets up on. Now remember, this general, Brutors, has a score of 5. General von Scar has a score of 2. So his total score is going to be an 8 and an 8, which is a tie. So we'll roll again. A 9 versus a 3. So no surprise, he gets to pick which side he's coming from. And what that does is it allows me to have the more competent general set up in a better area, and an area that makes more sense for his minimal forces. Remember, he's only got basically 10 AP. So he's going to set up his foot and his artillery on this hill. Foot, 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 and we'll put one down here holding the gap. Remember, this is a stream with a bridge. He has 1 cavalry in reserve. We'll get to that in a second. The attacker now places his units up here. And our attacker has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot for 12 AP. He's got 1, 2 artillery for 18. He's actually got 22. So he's going to lay down 10. And he's not going to do anything particularly unusual. He's going to go ahead and invest his... what do we want to do here? We're going to invest... We're just going to throw down a line of foot up here. Oh, and then we'll put our HQ down here on the hill. So there's our first 5 foot units. And we've got 2... So that's it. Then the defender picks a reinforcement point anywhere along his defending edge of the board, and he's going to put his cavalry over here. And we're done. That's all he has. So he's got a total of 5 units. It's the best he can do. He's fighting a delaying tactic to try and keep these guys from crossing the road. On the other side now, we have to figure out where the attackers are going to come in. The attacker picks a reinforcement point anywhere on his edge of the board or anywhere within on the flanks, not within 6 inches of the enemy. So basically, he can put his first reinforcement point here, anywhere along here. And he's going to go ahead and do that. And he's going to put his cavalry here kind of towards the center. There's Cavalry 1 and Cavalry 2. Oh. And then he's going to put an artillery unit. Oh, I should point out, this is going to be the... Ooh, how do we do this? He's got a light cavalry and a heavy cavalry. Let's go ahead and put the light cavalry coming on first, followed by the heavy cavalry. No, I take it back. I take it back. He's got to put that heavy cavalry on first, followed by the light, because we got to try to pin these guys down so that we can hit with overwhelming force with the rest of these guys. 2, 4, 6. So we still have 2 foot, and I think we'll go ahead and bring on... Then the defender has no more reinforcement points, and then the attacker picks his second reinforcement point, and all he's got left is one. Is it on the same edge? On either flank, he then places reinforcements in the order of appearance. So he's going to bring on an artillery and a foot. So there you have it. There's our order of battle. There is kind of what we're looking to see. Now, victory conditions are going to be interesting. I think what we're looking at here is an upside-down map. I think that the Sinistreans have decided to defend this bridge crossing. And, oh, you know, we didn't decide how serious this stream is. I think this stream, because it's not marked on the big map, it's just a light stream that slows movement but doesn't block it. At any rate, it's the easiest river crossing, so I guess what has happened here is that the Sinistreans have decided to reinforce this hill, prevent the crossing, and these guys are trying to force their way through. So the question is, how do we know who won? Well, I don't know. We're going to play the battle through, and we're going to try to force at least 1 or 2 regiments through this gap. But really, I think that the Dextrons are hoping to inflict as much damage as possible on the enemy, knowing full well that if they can destroy this army in the field, then they have an easy day's hike to the walls. They can build a camp, and then that second army is going to follow up with no resistance, and the Leftopolis is going to be besieged by all of these guys. And, of course, the more guys you have in a siege, the easier it is going to be to get through that. So there you have it. A really nice way of generating a tactical fight that if you just use the random numbers and then kind of use common sense to try to justify how you wind up in this situation, you can build a really organic battle that is totally unfair. These guys are hopelessly outclassed, but they have some goals in mind. If they can just turn back enough of these guys, if they can inflict enough damage, maybe they spook General von Scar into deciding, well, I'm just going to hunker down here or retreat to Paleberg until the rest of the army comes up. That's a video for another day, though, because that's a video that gets into the meat and potatoes of the post-battle sequence, and we haven't even had the battle yet. So next video, we'll do the battle. You guys kind of see what to expect, and who knows, maybe there'll be a few surprises. You got to play the game, because you don't know who's going to win if you don't actually roll them bones. So look for that in the next few days. In the meantime, thanks for coming on this journey of discovery of solo wargaming here in the glorious year of 2021. Until next time, remember, I'm praying for you.